One, two, three.
Hello
play
and
that?
welcome. Yeah, that's
Davan
me.
did actually.
And
Yeah,
That's really
me and
good.
my bandmate Dave.
Yeah, I cut you
We
right
like to
off,
do
but
the music.
yeah.
Oh
no, it's all right. No,
worries.
it's pretty great. I was
Whatever.
impressed
That's
with
how
the
we
first
do
time.
things here.
The first
Yeah,
time
it's
you
just-
brought it out, I was super impressed with it. I was like, it's like a sad, like like a little sad indie, hipster kind of version of the theme song, which is kind of perfect for our age brackets.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Except I still want to give you guys hell for using that picture of me.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's
my
wonderful.
bad. I'll take a
Yeah.
promise. I tried to find a decently high-res image. I think that was the only one I could.
Well, there are none. That's the
I play good music. Andre grabs bad pictures. That basically
That's it.
explains
That's
our
how we roll.
relationship
There we
on
go.
this show.
Yeah.
This is our exclusive interview series, and we are Andre and Davan. And joining us tonight, special guest, voice of season 5 Gambit, and so many more things. A man of many voices.
season 6.
Tony Daniels.
Hi. How are
Are you season 6 Gambit? Is this a?
No, there was because it went from 95 to 96 and a half or something. I don't know. So season 5, and then of course I played Bobby LeBeau in the series.
Right.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
We quote that
Were
one
you-
all the time. He's just like, Remy, me, and Bobby.
That's me. Yeah,
Oh
and
my God.
Were you
And-
Archon as well?
I can't remember because I did when I first started. They go, "We're going to give it to Chris Potter," and Chris is a great actor, but I was like devastated. It's like Chris. Well, he's a more well-known Canadian actor, and he really is a good actor.
Kung Fu.
Yeah, Kung
Yeah,
Fu.
that
and
show was stable in my household growing. I only had
And
the CBC growing up, so
Yeah.
I watched Kung Fu all the time.
Kung Fu, and of course, I've said tonight on Heartland. You know,
Oh wow!
because I've been knock on wood voicing CBC for. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No,
I've been the voice of CBC since I don't know 2002.
It's funny because your voice
didn't know
sounds
that.
so familiar to me, and that's probably why.
Well, this is the big one. When I travel in the U.S., they go, "Oh my God, you're Canadian. Do I know you?" And I go, "It's your Lotto 649 Happy Dance."
Oh my God,
and
that's amazing.
And they crap themselves, right?
That's fantastic. Wow, that's awesome.
And then my voice from a ton of stuff that I can't, like 2/3 I can't even talk about right now because I'm on strike with SAG. And of
Tony
course,
Tiger.
still on strike,
yeah.
right?
Tony's okay because it's a different contract, and with on Canada, with Canada, it's a lot of the stuff at ACTRA is locked out for voiceover.
Mhm.
So the unions, they're not doing great yet, but we'll see. But I worked on a bunch of shows. Let's see, there's a show starring a guy named Kevin Costner, and I won't tell you the title because then I don't get in trouble. There's a show with
it's a pretty popular show.
yeah, and there's a show with Sylvester Stallone. You know that one?
Yes,
I got the
Also by
ADR
the
for
same-
him. Yeah,
so you
by the same
must-
people. Yeah.
I was going to
And-
say you must have a good connection with that guy then. Those two shows.
Well, it's one of those things, right? How you doing, André?
I don't think we need to interview him, Davan. Let's just let him do this for the whole show.
I
think
could.
this is way better.
Everybody be
Just
in
go.
trouble. Yeah. So like I said, I'm the king of ADR. So I've done. I think my agent said something like 670 celebrities.
Really? Well, one of the things I was going to. Well, generally the way we do these interviews is I ask you questions about your life,
And I don't answer them.
Oh, that's fine. You don't have
No,
to.
I do.
Make them up. We'll never know the difference.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I was
In the voice
rescued
of
from an
anyone you
exploding star as a young child.
Just remember and go
Rocket
back to
Earth.
that, Andre, because I have done like a lot, and I have really funny stories about a lot of them because I just wrote a series and we produced a pilot. I can't show it to you guys yet, but it's called Tony Baloney. And it's from all the people I've met and some other stuff that I've done. Like I was at a bar with this. There was a girl that was introduced to by Mark Selby at CBC, and he was in New York, and we met this girl, and he introduced me to her, and she's this Israeli ex-commando, believe it or not, a gorgeous woman
Mhm.
who could probably kill all three of us with her
Oh, yeah.
hands,
I'm sure.
And she said, why don't you go? So my buddy Mike Palazzi, who passed last year, and if you look up Mike Palazzi, you'll see him on a ton of stuff where he was mixing audio. And we had known each other as kids at where was it? Master's Workshop, and then at Sounds Interchange where we did the X-Men. We always did in Studio 4. Mike always worked in like Studio 6, Studio 5. But Mike became a really close friend. I hadn't seen him in like 20 years. All of a sudden, I saw this. By the way, all actors can read upside down. I saw this script on my agent's desk, and I go, "What's that?" And she goes, "What it is not for you." I go, "Why?" She goes, "It's an African actor." Now, I've done my 23andMe, and I'm actually 12% African, believe it or not. And I said, "What country?" She goes, "Africa." I go,
just
"That's
show
a
her
continent."
your 23andMe. Like,
I hadn't yet. So
Yeah.
I said, "What country?" She goes, "Africa." I go, "That's a continent." She goes, "Oh, it's Sudan." I go, "I can do that voice, right?" And she goes, "What?" And I said, "No, seriously." I said, "The guy that works across the street from CBC at the parking lot is from there, and we talk to each other." And he laughs because I'll do his accent, and he goes, "How you learn this accent?" And I'm like, "Well, that is what I do." And he just cracks up. And I saved his ass one day because some clown bag like attacked him. And I grabbed the guy to go, "You touch him again." I said, "You're going to draw back a stump."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?" I go, "Just watch yourself.
Yeah.
Now go get your little stupid car and get out of here and never come back."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You are my hero." I said, "No," because he called him the bad N-word thing, and I got pissed. So anyway, I didn't want to go back.
Rightfully so.
I didn't want to go back to jail where I met André. But anyway, no.
We're not supposed to talk about that, John.
I know.
That's why you recognized his voice.
That's right. Yeah.
Full
I think we played
cellmates.
this little game called Prison Bitch, and André was my bitch. Never mind.
Hey, I'll take the title. That's fine.
I'm good with it. So yeah.
Well,
Go
it's
ahead.
funny because just looking up your, like, when we were talking
My
about
dress?
the ridiculous amount of voices, because the like I saw you did Celebrity Deathmatch for MTV.
Oh, man. I got
which I was like, that must have been a night, like a ridiculous amount of fun.
You guys want to hear a really cool story? I don't know
I sure do.
if I have it
We
here.
love all the cool stories.
In March, I went out. This is actually a little hard too. I went out to do the Chicago Sports Spectacular, and they brought me there. And it's a really, really nice company. Brought me out to do some autographing, and it was great. We had a great weekend.
Mhm.
And then I ran into Robbie Alomar, who I used to work with at the Blue Jays.
Oh wow!
And he goes, "Oh, hey man, how are you?" And we're hugging it. It was great. And then I met Eric Estrada from Chips.
Oh yes.
And we kind of know each other now. And then Bobby Orr, who I shot a
Nice.
commercial with for MasterCard. You can look it up online. And Bobby saw me and it's like, "Oh my God," because I played at Maple Leaf Gardens with my country band.
Yeah.
And Don and Bobby saw me. He said, when I went to work at CBC, knock on wood, we're sitting there. He's like, "Hey, this kid's got a great country band. You got to see it. It's good." Yep, saw him there. And so it was really cool, right? And so fast forward, they go, "Mr. Shatner wants to meet you." I'm like, "Oh my God," like I'm gonna get to meet like my childhood hero. So they brought me over, and he says, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, "I'm good. I finally get to meet you." And he goes, he says, "I heard you're born in Canada." And I go, Yeah, I am." And he goes, "Well, don't say it like that. Be a proud Canadian, right?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm born in Canada." And I hit my mic and knocked it out. Anyway, so he goes, "Come." So I sat beside him. He was holding my hand. It was beautiful. And we started talking. He goes, I understand you do a ton of voices. He says, "Have you ever done mine?" And I said, "Well, technically, yes and no." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I have done it professionally, but also I was supposed to do it on Celebrity Deathmatch. But the other guy that was in the room, he was supposed to do Pat Stewart. We couldn't do a good Pat Stewart, but he actually could do a good Bill Shatner. And my Patrick Stewart is absolutely perfect, right?" So he says, "Oh, you did Pat Stewart." He says, "Can you do it for me?" And I go, "When Bill and I did Star Trek Generations, I was the better captain, but he was the better actor." And he goes, "Oh my God," and he loved it, right? I'm still holding
Of course, because you said it that way, he loved it.
Yeah, he loved it. And it was all wonderful and everything. And then he turned to me, and this is like so weird. He said, "I'm so happy I got to finally meet you, and because I'm not going to be here much longer." And I thought he meant he was leaving the Comic-Con. Well, I didn't find out till 2 days later. He announced he was dying. So it broke my heart because like I didn't realize it when he said it. I just thought he was going to go away on his little scooter. He had a little scooter, and he was. But the promoter said to me, they go, "Excuse me, was he holding your hand the full time?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" And they goes, "We paid him like, a couple $100,000. He didn't hold our hands." I said, "Well, you're not Canadian. Back off, pal." But they were wonderful. And he was, I'm telling you, like, you hear stories about different actors, but he was so good to me. So my hat's off to him. And he got a kick out of one of my best friends is a guy named Dominic Chianese. Do you know that name? Oh, I'm sure you do. You've never seen The Sopranos?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle Junior. I played guitar with him for 7 years, right?
Uncle June? Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
I
So
love Uncle June.
Wow.
he asked me about Dominic, and then he goes, "How old is Dominic?" I said, "He's 92. I'm going to be 92 next Thursday," he says. And I said, "Well, I'll tell Dominic." And he says, "Well, you tell him about me." And I did. And he said he loved him, and he was a lovely man. And he said he wished had spent time with Bill Shatner too. So it was really sweet. And I just talked to Dominic on the weekend, and a few days ago, before the weekend, and he's a wonderful man and like such a great actor and a giving human being. 35 years he played every weekend, every Sunday for people in old age homes. And I'm telling you, when I played with him, I'd met him at Chum AM and Chum FM in Toronto years and years ago when he was up shooting the Gotti movie, the John Gotti story with Armand Asante. And I saw him and he had this guitar, and I said, "Wow, that's a nice guitar." I said, he said, "Why, you play?" And I go, "Oh yeah." And then you got somebody sneaking in behind you, Andre. That's probably a puppet.
Oh, it's my cat. He likes
Oh, hi, Lebowski.
He likes to visit me when I'm doing the podcast.
Trying to get the cat.
We were watching, my wife and I were watching a movie earlier, and there was a scene with a bunch of like cats. It's a horror movie. Like, just you could hear the noises of cats all crying, and he spooked them right out.
We had a cat that would go. It couldn't make a cat sound. It was the weirdest thing, but I loved her. And I never had cats before that, but it was my wife's cat. And when the cat met me, she abandoned my wife. She was like, "I'm your best friend now." But yeah,
I got cats everywhere.
One there too.
"Hi, buddy cat. How are you?"
Oh,
Buddy.
not bad.
Who's that one?
That's Miles. He's a good boy.
Hello, Miles. And I've got a 19-year-old puppy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. And Dominic asked me about in August when he turned 19. Dominic calls me and he goes, "How old's the dog now?" I said, 19. He goes, "What's that in human years?" I go, 92. And he goes, "So am I. We're the same age." And he goes, and with the weirdest thing is my dog could see TV. He can see things. Remember the Fido commercials? Right?
Mhm.
He would hear that commercial, hear the music, and now they say dogs can't recognize music. That's a load. He would hear the music. He'd be on the other side of the house, and that thing, doom, 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 doom. He'd come running because he knows there's going to be dogs in the commercial, right? He'd just bark at the TV. Well, he would sit with us and watch The Sopranos. So when Dominic came to my house, he saw Dominic, and he just started quivering and crying. And Dominic's like, "Has he ever done this before?" I go, "No." He must have recognized him, right? So it was Dominic says he had a special connection to my dog, so it feels good. There's a black cat behind you.
Oh yes, that's the other cat. I have 3 cats, so there's 2 that are fairly common. That one's the new one. She's only about a year old.
See, I could tell you guys are like Halloween nerds and stuff because you have cats.
Oh yeah, 100%. Big Halloween nerd.
Are you guys Terrifier?
Skeletons.
Are you guys Terrifier fans?
You know what? I haven't watched it yet. But,
oh gosh, you gotta
neither have
watch it. They're all my friends that produce that, and they're phenomenal people.
I just heard a podcast with them. I think it was Mick
With
Garris's
Damien
one?
and with David Howard Thornton.
The guy that plays him and the guy
Art the Clown? Yeah.
Yes, and the writer director.
Yeah, Damien Leone. They're amazing people, and David's become a good friend, and Damien
just based on the conversation alone made me want to watch the movies. It sounds like such a fun time, and I love horror movies, so
they're amazing. They're working on a new one, and the boys that helped them produce it, the Levy brothers, they're coming out with another movie called Stream. That's coming soon with Danielle Harris and Tim Reed and
cool.
And Tim oh my God, Rocky Horror, Tim
Curry.
Yeah, Tim Curry. And it's funny because Mikey asked me to ADR Tim Curry in case he passed on. So I ADR'd I had the lines ready just in case. And I said, look, I'll just do it and have it just in the bag. And if you don't need them, you don't need them. If you use them, then you can pay me.
Yeah, so I understand his health isn't getting so great right now. So.
It was bad, yeah, but he survived it, and so it's pretty cool. So that's coming out soon.
Oh, cool! That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So I guess generally how we do this is I'll ask you some random questions about your life, and Davan will ask you usually X-Men questions, but
okay,
or random questions,
or random ones,
or random X-Men questions.
Yeah, just random stuff. We're just gonna,
which I won't remember anything.
It's not even related to the show. We're just gonna ask you trivia questions about X-Men in general. And
okay,
I'm just kidding. What is Professor X's middle name?
At the end of issue 289?
Greg. I think it's Greg.
It was Greg.
Yeah. Well, I have a great story about Cedric Smith. By the way.
Oh really?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you remember years ago there was TSN had all these commercials? Game Day. Montreal Forum, and he did all this stuff for TSN. I won a gold award. I think you might be able to find it, or I can send it to you guys. Dave Barker from Q107 Toronto wrote this bit. And so it started off, it was about the Leafs, how badly they sucked. So it was Game Day, Maple Leaf Gardens, 7:28 p.m. Cortex sits silently staring at the space between I can't remember who was their ears, psalming too. They will, as always, be the very last to remember where they left their uniforms.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, and it was great.
So
and I won a gold award for that, and it was really cool. It helped launch like major stuff in my career, because when I first started, oh man, I have such a weird background.
Well, let's get into that. So where are you from originally?
Toronto.
Okay. All right,
from the big city of Toronto. And I always had this deep voice, even when I was a kid. And
really?
I was playing in a band. I was 11 years old, playing in a professional band, Union, by the way. And
well, how did that swing? How did you get into a band at 11? Were they other 11-year-olds?
No,
they never played guitars.
No, they were older men. They were older men. And I was playing on a rooftop with a bunch of buddies, and they heard me, and they're like, "We got to get this kid in my band." And then
the
Beatles. It was close.
The B sharp.
I don't know.
For the Simpsons.
It was not the Beatles, but I have done John Lennon in commercials. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, and Yoko has to approve all the time. So yeah. So
really? Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, they heard me playing.
So surreal.
I know my life is crazy because if you really wanted, we have like 19 hours worth of this stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be a series. This is the whole podcast now. It's just
Tony
Daniels, the series. But yeah, so they heard me play, and they said, "Oh, we want you to come play in the band." And I'm 11 years old, I'm playing, so it was a bit of a prodigy, and people would come and see me play because like, here's 11-year-old playing with these 25, 30-year-old men. And we actually played at a thing called several times, but the main one was the very first one we played at was a Chin Picnic. Chin was an Italian radio station, and they played on the island in Toronto. And these guys are all sitting backstage going like this. And I'm like 11 going, "Let's go, guys." And they're like, "You're not afraid?" And I go, "One person, 25,000. Who cares? We get out there, there's 25,000 people." It was awesome. And but it was raining. And I'm like, "Good evening." I got zapped. I fell to the ground. My guitar cracked. Oh my God.
Oh no,
anyway,
no.
But I got up and I started playing like a trooper. It was great. Had to retune quickly. But it was fun. So that's where I kind of get started. And I used to get really bored playing with the guys because they'd be like, and my hero was Rich Little, which I'll tell you about later, which I have to include a swear
legend.
Word. Never meet your legends.
This is the X-rated podcast. So don't worry about it.
Never meet your legends, by the way.
I've met a few the people I've heralded and haven't been super impressed.
I almost killed one of mine.
So we'd be playing, like I don't know, like Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run, and I'd be stuck inside these four walls, sent inside forever. I'd start singing. Once I learned a song, like in 2 seconds, then I'd start singing in character because I really loved Rich Little. And this guy came in and he says, "Hi, my name's Shotgun Tom Rivers. I want you on my radio show." And the following week, I was like 12 or 13. I went in and I was sitting there with him playing guitar and doing stuff. And I said, "This is what I want to do." So within a few months or whatever, I was kind of interning every so often. So I'd be going in on weekends, when my dad was able to drive me out there. And then the one night there was, I told Gary Kurtz this. Do you guys know who Gary Kurtz is? He produced a few little movies. One was called American Graffiti. Then this other movie called Star Something Wars,
Yes,
and then Empire Strikes Somebody.
Yes.
And he was the greatest guy. We met on Friends and Heroes, and we went out with Susan Hart for dinner, and we had a great time. And we just cemented our friendship. We kept in touch until he passed. But and I said, you know, Gary, I'm your second Tony Daniels. He goes, bullshit. I go, excuse me. He goes, I hated that guy. You're my first Tony Daniels.
No.
And I was like, cool. Yeah, he didn't like him. So then I ended up doing, and I told him because he produced American Graffiti. I ended up filling in for Wolfman Jack. All right, folks, it's time. I was only like a little kid. It was good. I had this deep voice, right? And then I met this woman who was an opera teacher. She goes, I can help you get, you know, your voice higher and higher. So I studied opera with her for a bit. It was kind of cool. And she didn't charge because we had no money. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
So while this is all happening, like your parents are cool with your 11-year-old running off of bands going around.
Well, they were on drugs. No.
Okay.
No, they were
they
cool.
were giving them the bands were giving them the drugs.
They damn worked hard. My folks worked really hard, you know.
Yeah. What did they?
Had to get some soda. My dad was a tool and die maker, still is. Or not now. I mean, he's retired, but man, my mom worked at General Electric. She used to make those. You know, those Mercury street lamps they use for cities. She was on that thing. So they worked really hard.
And her health maintained after working.
Yeah. They're both 85 right now and rocking. And
wow, excellent.
You know, but they never got in the way of the career. They never got in the way of anything. They were just, you know, there for me, and my brother. And yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, when the folks do that.
It's a rarity. I have another podcast where I just interview people about, like, you know, like yourself, about their lives and stuff. And it's very rare that someone's like, yeah, my parents are completely supportive and like we're super cool with me being a comic artist or a voice actor or whatever. You know what I mean? Like or something like that. Like this has been very rare. It's very rare.
My mom wasn't 100%. My dad used to come to the clubs with me, and then women would go, "Can I kiss your son?" And my dad was like, my son. My son's a real man. Actually, my dad was born in Malta, so he goes, my son's a real man, okay? You know.
Oh, really?
So
wow,
the accent, yeah. And my mom was born in Scotland, but she's actually Irish and Spanish, or I can't remember what the 23andMe was. But so I grew up in a household that spoke like this and like this, okay? So that allowed me, I guess, and we had tons of people in my family. We had an uncle who was Chinese. We had, you know, so I mean, I always pick up the accents, right? So I can do almost any accent in the world. You name it, I can do it.
Davan, you got anything to stump him?
Fijian.
Oh, well, that's not fair.
What's Dominica? Is that the country or not Dominica?
Dominica? Yeah. The Spanish part.
Well, that's funny because I host trivia, and one of my questions the other day was like, what country? Wait, Dominica is the only country to have this color on its flag.
Purple.
Purple. Yeah, that's correct.
Am I right?
Nailed it.
Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. I didn't get it. He stumped me with that one.
I'm damn good.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was with my buddy Mike Palazzi. I told you guys about earlier.
Yeah,
and Ellen Dubin was in the studio recording. Ellen was in Full Metal Jacket. No, she wasn't. That was close. She was in Napoleon Dynamite. I was thinking of the same sort of arms. Anyway, so. She played the mother that Uncle Rico sells all the Tupperware, and you will go with that boy. So we've been best friends forever. We did Sailor Moon together, and she was like really cool. And we went to this restaurant after a session, and we get there, and there was a Sri Lankan guy that I knew who worked at another restaurant. It was the maitre d', and he goes, "Oh, you were here. Can you do take my guys around the world?" I go, "What?" He says, "We'll cook for you," because they were closing. He said, "But they're eating their dinner. But if you take us around the world, I'll have my other chef go in and cook for you." I'm like, okay. So I start in Oriar, right? Like Belfast, right? And then I go to Dublin, and Dublin's great. And if you leave Dublin and you go across to Liverpool, the Scousers came from Dublin. And you end up doing a Liverpool accent. Then you go a little more east and you're in Manchester. If you watch Coronation Street, you'll understand that one, right?
Yeah,
and you go further east and like Brian Johnson of AC/DC. you're now in Newcastle, you're upon Tyne and all that. And if you go north,
You're a
then,
Geordie.
yeah, and then you're a Geordie, and then you go a little north, then you're in Scotland, you're in Glasgow. And by the way, I ended up finding out that I may be related to Jimmy McDermott from Delamitri, the band. So we met each other this summer through Randy Cook, the drummer, just a great Canadian boy, and such a good thing. Anyway, so you leave there and you're in Birmingham, and Grimsby, and then you go further south and you're in London. And if you're in London for a little bit, then you go into North East London, Courtney. Anyway, you can go all the way around the world. I can do 200 accents in a row at least.
Wow,
at least.
That's
Now jump the pond over to Newfoundland.
Oh, there, son. Yeah, let me tell you something there, boy. So these two fellas is working at the lumberyard, right? And they're working away, and the bloody lumberyard shuts down after 25 years. So they go to the manpower to get a job, right? First one says, "Look, lad, I'll go in first because I got the seniority." And he goes in, "Hi there, I need a job." And the guy says, "So what do you do?" He says, "I was a lumber cutter at the lumberyard, 25 years, son." And he says, "Well, I got nothing for a lumber cutter." He says, "So I'll keep your name on file." He's pissed off. Gets outside. He says, "Look, lad, don't tell him you worked at the lumberyard. They won't give you a job." And he goes, "All right." So he goes in and he goes, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." And he goes, "What do you do?" He goes, I'm a pilot." He goes, "Pilot?" There's an opening at WestJet right now, 250,000 a year. He goes, 250,000 a year, I'll take it. He goes, "What do I have to do?" He goes, "You have to fly commercial aircraft." He goes, "I don't know how to do that." He says, "You said you were a pilot." He goes, "Yeah, my buddies and I worked at the lumberyard. He'd cut the wood and I'd pilot."
Very nice.
It's my favorite new.
Nailed it.
It's a pretty
good one.
And
So
we got
what-
family out there in Corner Brook and stuff.
Oh, right on. Well, you ever make your way out to the East Coast, look us up.
Well, listen, I still love Gordon Pinsent. I became pals with Gordon. Gordon's son-in-law, Peter McCallahan, is such a great guy. Hello, Druado. Hello, Blake Griggs. We're doing well.
Yeah, not bad at all. Good. Oh no, Pinson was the man. I was a massive fan growing up of Due South. I used to watch that show.
Oh my god, that was a great show.
It was a great show.
If you think about it, we had a lot of great Canadian shows.
Yeah. Well, we often make jokes on the show whenever like a new voice actor like yourself pops up in our purview when we're going through the episode. We usually do a little deep dive on them while we're talking. And there's like a litany of Canadian shows that they're all in. Like almost every voice actor, like not as much for you, but most of the live action guys that do more of the not as much the voice work. It's always like Street Legal, Forever Night, La Femme Nikita, FX the series.
Oh yeah,
Kung Fu the Legend Continues. Like there's just all those ones.
Well, but especially Forever Night.
Oh yeah, Forever Night.
Forever Night was a lot of people. Almost everybody breathed through that one. Earth Final Conflict, Andromeda.
I've been shooting down in New York a lot because I just found I came down here to work for Howard Stern for a bit, right? And but I never signed a contract because it's it's a tough deal. So I said, I'm going to just do my thing. And I don't have a face for LA. So New York was a great place to come to work and then go back home, come here and go back home. So it's great. And it's only an hour flight. So I can be home, tomorrow morning. So it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Where
we went to LA and they said, cover those faces up. Now.
Oh my God. You guys would be kicked out. Yeah.
Oh. Well,
and you guys are Nova Scotia, and I get proud of Nova Scotia too, because I tell my African American friends, Canada, we had the Underground Railroad, and a lot of the folks, if parts of Nova Scotia, that's mostly African American. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. A lot of communities up here. Yeah. I'm an actor as well, and I did background one time or stand in or something for Book of Negroes when they're filming it here. Similar.
Yeah, that was the first time I had to do that for CBC. Tomorrow night, the Book of Negroes. It was yeah, and it's hard because I worked on Lee Daniels, the butler.
Yeah,
have you guys seen that at all?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So I'm working with Lee, and it was this other guy and me, and he was doing Vin Scully's voice because we had to call this baseball game in there. You remember? There's a baseball.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was doing Tom Cheek's voice because I worked with him at the Blue Jays, and so. At first we got there, this guy Steve and I, and they're like, Lee's like, I don't want these guys. What the hell's going on here? And is like, my friend Dan is like, no. We couldn't get permission from MLB, so we have to get these guys to do it. Otherwise, we could be in trouble. And he goes, oh, fine, we'll do it. And so we do. We're watching the game. We actually called the game, and it was amazing. And he turned and he goes, "You guys are amazing. You guys are fantastic. Stick around. I got another scene for you." And I don't want to get too graphic because it actually hurt my soul with this thing. But they actually had footage of a black man being attacked by these two Southern cops, but not the cops were doing it. They sicked their dogs on the guy, and we had to be the cops. And
Oh wow!
so I had to go up first, and the first line it was, "Hey, you stupid!"
Yeah,
and I'm like, so I was like, oh, "Do I have to say that?" He goes, "Dude, I heard this word like a million times making this goddamn movie. Just say it." So I said the shortened version with just the A at the end, and he goes, "No," and I go, "I have to put the R on there." He goes, "Yes." I was so devastated because I met DMX years ago through the Howard Stern show, and DMX came up to, when we were doing Sailor Moon. He came up to I think it was Sailor Moon. He came up to McClear, and I walked in and he was there, and he goes, "Ma, you know what?" And then I answered him back, and some white dude says to his bodyguard, "Is he allowed to talk that way?" He goes, "He is, but you ain't." So
I thought you were about to tell me that DMX did a voice in Sailor Moon. I was going to get very excited.
I tried to get him on there.
That would have been amazing.
Well, it's funny because Lisa
so
Dalballo, you know Lisa Dalballo is a great Canadian singer writer. Anyway, she was in the other studio doing an album while we were doing Sailor Moon, and Nicole Tio was directing, and she said, "Well, we have this monster. I need a woman." And I'm like, "Hang on." I ran down and go, "Lisa, come." I introduced him. Lisa ended up being on the TV series.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
So it is, and it's hard because, as actors, we have to say words like, during Glorious Bastards and during Django and all this stuff. It's pretty, you have to say things that you just go, "Oh, God." I worked on a CBC series called radio series called Man Radio, and I had to swear at this little kid, and it really hurt. It was like weird. I mean, I joke with the best, and I've written some funny comedy that just breaks the rules, but when you actually have to do it for real, it really hurts.
And there's a part of you that gets like you can't turn off the part of you that obviously feels strongly against that sort of behavior. I just finished a play I was doing last week. I directed. I was in. It was a Kurt Vonnegut play called Happy Birthday 1 to June. Oh, and wow. my character was like basically a big game war hero hunter guy who was missing in the jungle for 8 years and comes back and terrorizes his family that all thought he was dead, essentially. And
Wow.
He's just basically treating women like garbage for like a whole play. And like there's scenes where the actress that played my wife and I were arguing, and like she's very good, but there's like moments where she's explaining how damaging it is, and there's a part of you that like it hits you, right? Especially the performance is good because you're sitting there on stage and someone's pouring their heart out to you, and even though you're not really responsible for it, there's still the emotion is kind of there. So it kind of bleeds out regardless of the intention. You still can't help but what the internal feeling is.
Hey, my camera resolution's only at 480. Should I change it?
No, I think you're right.
Let's try
Jack Blacketeer's wondering if the producers asked Tony to imitate Chris Potter's take on Gambit, or if they wanted to make him Gambit his own.
That's a good question.
That's a great question. And it started out up here as Chris Potter style, and then Sydney I Wonder says, you gotta give him some more, you know what I mean, testosterone. So we started morphing Gambit up here, and then when you hear Gambit in Street Fighter versus X-Men and all that stuff, he had a little more rasp, because he would have to fight Wolverine and all these other guys, and they want him a little tougher. But yeah, at the beginning of when I first started doing them after Chris left, of course I didn't want to sound like Bobby LeBeau either, my character Bobby, which was Gambit's brother. But yeah, thank you for that question. That's a good one. So it's like,
do you know why Chris left?
Because he was getting a lot on camera, and it's really hard to do voice and on camera at the same time.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
And I understand it. And, actually he's a really nice guy. I just love George Booza I've been friends with him since I was a kid. And
I'd love to get him on the show too. Apparently he's got a lot of stories.
He's got a lot of great stories and a lot of great stuff. Allison Court is amazing. There she is right there. Jubilee and Lenore Zahn. We've
had Lenore on the show.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Lenore's the MLA of my town for many
That's
years.
right. Yeah.
I live in Truro, Nova Scotia.
Truro, yeah. Truro, right? And
for real, yeah.
and then when I was 16, I had a part-time job at a cable company, and I actually installed Cal Dodd's cable.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's hilarious. So did
That's
that come
true
back up
story.
later? You're like, hey,
Yeah.
Cal, how's the cable working out?
And Norm, I miss him every day. Norm Spencer, he was a really close friend. I tried to help him out. I saw the writing on the wall about voiceover and stuff. You know, people be going to more, you know, record your MP3s at home for auditions and stuff. And I tried to help Norm out, but just he couldn't get it, and it was frustrating for him. And I'd left CHCH TV to go to LA, and he got the gig, and he's like, "Hey man, I guess sometimes they want to pick up and I have to drive all the way back." And I go, "Well, let me show you how to do it. I can show you." Because I was one of the first guys. I'm driving through LA. I'd left Sony Pictures, and I'm going to Warner in the Valley, and I actually record an audition halfway through by pulling over and then pulling out my Samsung phone at the time, plugging in my laptop and uploading at 56K. And grind. So
Lawrence Bain spoke highly of Norm as well.
Yeah, I love Lawrence too. He's a prick, but no.
I'm sure he would laugh at hearing that.
Oh man, he would because I'd be driving along one day on King Street or Queen Street in Toronto. I'd hear, "Hey asshole, get a job," and I'd look and it's Lawrence. We did the Avengers together, and we were really close. I love Lawrence. He's like one of the greatest guys too. And then we worked with guys like Tony Rosato, and that was a hard death for me because Tony and I were going to connect in LA, and he ended up getting Capgras syndrome, and you guys can look that up all y'all at home. And it was devastating. And we worked on the last thing we did was Get Ed, and we'd lost Tony at that time. He got really sick. So, and I've been lucky as a Canadian, as a human being, to meet and work with a lot of really cool, really wonderful people. Catherine Disher, Alison Seeley Smith, our director, Dan Hennessy, who was phenomenal. My casting director, who I love dearly, Karen Gura, she cast me in a lot of stuff. She made me a happy person, and then we've been lucky too that on the commercial side, we had so many really good studios in Toronto to work with, so many good sound and those kind of deals. We so many production houses that were just incredible to work with. So it goes from
Are there
there.
like voice work heavy towns? Like, is New York and Toronto more voice work heavy than like LA or anything like that? Is there like a city you really want to go to if you want to do voice work?
LA. So it would be LA, Toronto, New York, Vancouver, a little bit of Montreal. I've worked in Montreal too. They're really nice to work with there. I just did a video game, and the producers were out of Montreal. But I've been on strike with SAG and AFTRA here, and then ACTRA in Toronto was shut out for like a year for certain things. And I go back and forth, so whenever I can. But I booked a lot of really cool stuff here, that stuff I can't even talk about, as we were talking earlier, of those shows. But there was some really cool projects that are not under the AMPTP contract that I got to do. Like I worked on what was the name of that? It's like a war memorial museum, and it was really cool. And I played some old presidents, some old Canadians as well.
Oh, really?
It was really cool. And a lot of Americans are really happy with like things like the Patricia Pats. They're like, man, you guys were tough. And we had some really tough soldiers, man. So I'm very proud.
Oh, that's awesome
to be part of that. Yeah.
I'm kind of amazed with how much, I'm sort of learning a little bit about the ADR side of things, and how, how often it seems, or frequent, that, they get other people to fill in little voices for big actors when they need to, for little bits that they, that they just can't call up the actor to do it, apparently, Well,
a lot of times the actors will be on the next project, so they're not available. They have to commit to a certain amount of it if they want. But let's see, like,
it'd be so weird to me if I was like, like I am an actor, but like if I was in some role and then I hear something that I didn't say, you know what I mean? Like come out as like on the screen or something. It'd be so surreal.
A lot of the big actors don't care, but then there are other actors that are not as big, and we'll still replace them for some reason. Like I know, have you guys seen the movie? Let's see, The Promise.
Yep.
Yeah. So I spoke probably accented and in real languages, about 7 different languages in there. And there was a big, this is a cool story. There was a big Turkish, a big Turkish general or sergeant or whatever. And Danny wanted, Danny Boyle, who's the director, who's from Belfast. So he's like, all right, Tony, what I need now is I need you to cover this general, right? This big, tall guy, like he's got a stick, but I don't like the way he's saying it, right? So I want to change the line a little, and I want to get you to that. Sorry, I want you to read it this way. And he reads it to me. And I go, okay. And I'm sitting like this, and he goes, did you understand? I go, yeah, Danny, but I got to translate your Irish brogue into a Turkish cadence. He goes, jeez, boy, I never thought about that. That's good. That's good. It's good. Take your time. And then so we did it, and it was really cool. And I sat there. My buddy Thomas G. Waits. You guys like the Warriors?
Yeah.
Oh, the movie The Warriors?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the guy who played Fox, and he was also in The Thing. He played Windows in The Thing with John Carpenter.
Yes, one of the best movies of all time.
The Thing's my favorite movie.
Yeah, so you know Windows.
There.
Windows with the. He's one of my best friends in the world. He was in Injustice for All. One of his good friends is Al Pacino, and he knows Dominic very well. And you know, he and I watched The Promise together, and he's like, I go, oh, that's me. And he goes, no way. Singing in German? I go, oh yeah. He goes, what's that? And I go, oh, that's me too. It was really cool. What's this? That's me. All right, get out of here. No. And I roll it back. He's like, holy crap, I can't even tell it's you. I go, well, that's the whole point of it. You're not supposed to. But yeah, there's a lot of cool ADR, and they're trying to replace us with AI. But I keep telling them, I go, you know, the computer cannot get the emotion.
No.
And I go, think about it. In 100 years, Commander Data still won't be able to do it.
Yeah. No, there's something that you lose something inherently human when you go to that road, and it's
totally.
not...
And to give somebody like myself the opportunity to try and match a voice, it's, you know, some of them are real, like some voices are really tough, right? Where you go, you know, like, and I promised Donald Sutherland I'd never do his voice because he gets mad.
Nova Scotia's own.
Yeah, he'd get mad at me if I did it, but I've done Kiefer. Hey, how are you? Yeah.
I just watched a movie. I just watched a movie with him in it the other day that I was like, because I'm a whiskey guy, and I was going through his new whiskey that just came out.
Oh yeah.
I have a whiskey club. We get together and we try different types, and that one came up one time in one of the nights we had. So I was coincidentally just drinking it and watching this movie, and he popped up in it. It's called They Cloned Tyrone, which you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. I highly suggest it.
I gotta see it.
Very, very good. But he only has a small role in it, but it's very good.
He's
John Boyega's in it, and Jamie Foxx and a few other people. But it's super good.
I love Jamie. I came out of my Studio 80 one time at CBC and went into the men's room, and I'm standing there, and there's a guy beside me, and I'm looking up at him. I go, I love your daughter, Rachel. And he goes, I love my daughter, Rachel. He goes, how do you know Rachel? I said, I've done ADR for her. It's Rachel Sutherland.
Yeah.
And it was Daddy.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Donald. And he goes, what do you do here? And I told him, and he's like, oh. I said, but I also do this and this animation, ADR. He goes, who have you ADR'd for? Pacino, Connery. And he goes, you ever done me? And I go, no. He goes, good, because I'd sue you. And he was serious too, because he likes to do, he's very anal about ADR.
Yeah.
He shows up. They told me he shows up at the studio with a measuring tape. No, the boom mic was 7'2" away from me, right? So he goes, well, it's really nice to meet you. You shook my hand, and I go, holy crap, you just shook my hand and you didn't wash. And he goes,
that's amazing.
I sat there for 5 minutes and putting on the soap and the disinfectant.
Oh man, I can't imagine.
Like other people would be like, oh my, you just shook Donald Sutherland's hand. I go, yeah. He didn't have his thing in his hand when he shook yours,
Such a legend, my God.
But he's really sweet. And then 2 weeks later, I met Sounds Interchange, and my buddy who's the engineer says, hey, Kiefer and Rachel are upstairs. Go say hi to Rachel. So I get upstairs, I walk in, I go, hey, you guys. And they're like, hey, how are you? And I go, good. I said, I was peeing with your dad the other day. And Kiefer goes, what, you too?
Apparently, this is not a singular event.
And then for both you guys, we talk guitars.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. I
Band,
heard.
right?
Yeah, I said I heard you got a 336, 335. He goes, no, Gibson made me a 336. I'm like, oh god, that was cool. Yeah, so we talked about that for a bit. But that was
I have an
awesome.
SG.
I love SGs, man.
Yeah, me too.
They're
They
cool.
they sometimes they sit a little weird with the strap, depending on the strap.
André,
and where
that's
they
just
put the,
that's just Davan.
yeah.
What?
They do though,
Yeah.
because they're so light, right? So you know,
Yeah, and they're
unlike a
top
Les
heavy.
Paul, which pops which breaks your shoulder and your clavicle.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm new to the world of electric guitars. I just got a PV Predator that a guy was selling down the street. That's
a Yamaha, right, behind you.
That is, yes.
I can tell by the headstock.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
My mom gave me that for Christmas a few years ago. But
That's nice.
The Predator one is some Marvel series they did where it's got Spider-Man on it, so which is why I wanted it. I figured it's like a showpiece anyway, and then I could play around with it. So it's fun. I've just got used to acoustics. I just play for fun. I don't get enough experience to.
I've been playing more acoustic and more acoustic and more acoustic.
Me too. 99% of my guitar is just acoustic.
I probably enjoy it more than the other one, but I do like playing with it. It's nice to have the option.
You can tell I play a lot. Look at that.
Yeah.
I was just recording it earlier. That's why I was late getting on with you guys, because I was recording, and that's why I had to run back. I'm like, and I look at my watch, and I'm like, I got lots of time. And my buddy says, hey, you going to stay and watch the game? I go, well, no, I got to be home for 8 o'clock. And he goes, dude, it's 8:15. I'm like, what? Because I was on Central Time and I was sweat. I like analog watches. Get out of here, you guys. So I don't even check the phone time because I don't have that thing on there. So
yeah, that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about working on because I'm a big fan of the original version of this show and the Canadian version because I watched both growing up. But you worked in Erie, Indiana. And you played Elvis, which is pretty.
I gained 88 pounds to play that son of a bitch. That was. I gotta tell you,
peanut butter and banana.
Did Dante? Did Joe
don't
Dante?
Laugh. That happened to me.
Did Joe Dante produce or have anything to do with that version as well, or is that only the American one?
I think the American. It was produced by Julian Marks, and I had my friends Peter Moen and Jim. Oh my God, I'm gonna blow Jim's last name.
It's all good.
Jim Henshaw, of course. And I was cast by Brian Levy, and who's he? I can't really tell you the other one right now. Because it was a little issue. Anyway, but I really love that show. I'm still friends with Bill Schweitzer. I haven't seen Daniel Clark in a long time. The little kids, they're amazing. And I got to work with all my friends, Neil Crone, Rick Waugh. God, there were so many good people on that show. And I'm going to miss them out. David Keeley, like Dave and I were good buddies. I really love doing that show because, I was doing mostly voice anyway, but this was a chance to get back and do some more on camera. Right. Yeah. And I remember showing up and I'm like in a t-shirt and jeans and I had lost some weight to audition for this other show. And I get there and there was a room full of Elvises and I'm not dressed as Elvis. And I walk in there like, okay. And Brian's like, just do your thing. So I go, I was just outside and I got my pink Cadillac parked out there. And who's that son of a bitch right there? And I'm just like doing this stuff. I was like, you can't sing, so you can't even sit with me, Sonny. And then we're doing this whole thing over there. And I started singing, what do I go? We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out. And then they're like, send the other guys home. It's done. And that was it. I swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a great time shooting. And then there was one episode where I'm with Joe Denical. And I had to eat there were so many takes. I ate this gosh dang sandwich, and it was peanut butter, bacon, banana, and marshmallows. Yeah, and I think I ate like 17 of them, and it doesn't even make it into the cut. I was so pissed. And I halfway through, I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And they're like, okay, and I just went in the bathroom and went.
I don't blame you.
It was so horrible, but I gained 88 pounds shooting during that time.
Jesus. I remember I was standing out a lot on the Canadian version because he never really did much in the American one.
I don't
he
even think
was in the background a little bit. I think he spoke a little bit, but not much.
Did he? I never heard him in the American, but yeah.
Yep.
And I wish they'd bring that show back because I loved it. It was fun. And those
It's
kids,
it's still called the American version is still called classic. The Canadian one too. I mean, they're both pretty great.
I try to turn people on. It's funny because I'll bring that to Comic Cons. I have a picture of it, and nobody picks it up.
Oh, really? Oh no,
I'm really surprised. You know,
yeah. I always remembered Patrick McKenna on that from the Red Green Show.
Yeah,
because he was the guy that was super lucky, and
Patrick's a wonderful.
He was cursed
because
he was so lucky, and everybody hated him because he won everything, and was always like every good thing ever happened to him, and like everyone totally despised him, which I thought was so funny.
Well, it's really funny because I didn't know Pat McKenna at the time, but I was working at Chum, and Pat told me he got a kick out of it. I had a character on Chum Radio. He was called Dr. Pat McKenna with the Mimico-Medical Dictionary. Today's word is libido. Libido. That's what the French call Paul McCartney. Libido, right? Today's word is latex. Latex. That's what Miss Kitty would do when Matt Dillon would leave the ranch. Latex. What was the one Larry and I wrote it? What do I get in trouble for doing? It was one of them was like, we got called in the office because it was funny, but it was this is the one. Today's word is hospice. Hospice. It was all medical, right?
Yeah.
That's why the ponderosa smelled so bad. Can you guys come to my office and bring all your stuff?
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah. So that was funny. That was Larry wrote that one. I as soon as I read it, I read it clean, not realizing what I was saying, and then I started laughing. And Roger never got that joke. I don't know. That was weird.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Hospice.
Have you ever encountered a voice you couldn't ADR? You just couldn't get it?
Nope.
Awesome.
It takes a while sometimes. You know, Tom Cruise is tough. The only guy I can't do, like I said, there'll be ones that I go, I'm not going to do it. I don't even try. Just because I know, like with Donald Sutherland, I won't do it because I promised him I wouldn't. But also,
or they'll sue you.
Yeah, he would and cut my head off. But no, there's just some that are just like a few weeks ago I was in where was I? I was in Huntington, West Virginia. West Virginia. Ah, God, I'm on drugs. Anyway, it's West Virginia. Anyway, and I was at the airport and I saw this guy and I'm looking at him going, he looks really familiar. And he looks at me and goes, you look really familiar. And it ended up being Larry Wilcox, who now is a friend, by the way, of Chips. Remember Chips?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know both Larry and Eric. And we were just talking. And there was a guy behind me. And he goes, Larry goes, what's your name? I said, Tony Daniels. And beside him was John Pine, Chris Pine's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I said, John, I said, your son is apparently a really good guitar player and singer. And he goes, yeah, he's pretty good. I goes, how did you know? And I said, my friend Ewan Bremner, you know, Ewan, he was in Train Spotting and Train Spotting 2. He was sick.
Oh,
boy. Yeah. He's the greatest guy.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah.
We've become good friends. And I just love him. And he turned himself into a great musician. He taught himself jazz chords and singing, and he writes some cool songs. And I said, yeah, Ewan told me about him. He goes, oh, he's a lovely guy. They worked on Wonder Woman together. I go, yeah, it was a great show, right? Great movie. Yeah. And he says, what's your name again? I said, Tony Daniels. Then I hear Tony Daniels, and I go, turn around, it's Tom Kenny.
Oh, wow.
And I go, Tom, what a great time to meet you finally. And he goes, yeah, I've heard your name before. And I go, because I've ADR'd for you. He goes, no. And I go, yeah, Patrick. And he starts laughing. He goes, can I buy you a drink? And I go, what? He goes, and so we become buddies. I like him a lot. He's a good man.
I watched recently the Shakes the Clown movie that Bob Goldthwait did. And Tom Kenny in that was like, I think it's almost a crime that he never got a chance to play the Joker in something. I think he would have been very good. After seeing him play clown in that, I was like, he would have been a solid Joker.
He's really good. I mean, but we all love Mark Hamill. I mean,
of course. But no, I meant like a physical, like a live action Joker. I think he would have been all right.
Yeah, I was
But Hamill is man.
Oh, he's a monster.
I'm watching the new Mike Flanagan
Call a
series,
House of
Follow the
Usher.
House of Usher, and he's in it. He's very good.
Yeah, see, I don't get a lot of those because I'm not in LA, but you know, it's funny because I didn't want to move back there.
I feel like that was filmed in Canada, wasn't it? They must have.
It might have been.
Because like I'm pretty sure a lot of his other stuff has been.
Yeah, but we're writing a lot of stuff. We got a bunch of horror. I've got about 9. Well, I've got about 50, but 9 ready to go series, comedy and drama. And I'd actually asked Steve Buscemi to be on one of the comedies, and he said yes.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So I'm hoping we get. We're waiting for the strike, of course, to be over. But also, I'm waiting to kind of meet some these guys and sign a deal and see if we get the money to produce it. Even if we do the pilot with Steve. This show is.
I think his
writer on that, or
creator, writer, co-creator. My friend that co-created, he passed away last year. It was really sad. He got sent home. He was working in China, and he got sent home because they didn't want him in the country during the COVID. And so he went to live with his sister in California. And he got up one afternoon and was watching, I think, the Kansas City Chiefs. He got up, slipped, and banged his head. And they said, let's get you to the hospital. And they go, well, there's no use because of COVID. And he says, I'm fine. I just have a massive headache. And the next morning he woke up and he still had a headache. And she says, we better go to the hospital. He goes, okay, I'll watch the football game and then we'll go. And he tuned in on the game and never woke up. So, and he was one of the greatest writers I've ever met in my life. He changed my life. He was living in Toronto. He had married a Canadian girl, and Alan, he always had a very light voice. And so first time I met him, Alan, are you gay or straight? He goes, of course, I'm straight. He said, I've been married 11 times. I go, you might want to rethink that. And that's what sold him on me and becoming really close. We were best friends. And he used to write all these Canadian Tire commercials. That's actually how we met. We were on a Canadian Tire commercial together. And he's like one of the greatest guys I've ever worked with. And he turned me into a real writer because I was writing bits for radio, which are, they're fun and they're hard to figure out. I mean, you're working all day long. You leave the show and you're all day long. All you're doing is thinking of bits and writing. And then you get in the morning, like at 3 a.m, and start producing bits before you go to air. And Alan said to me, he goes, you're not a punch-up writer. And so did Wayne Testori from Air Farce. He goes, Wayne used to go, I'm going to give you hell. Why? You call yourself a punch-up writer. Forget it. That's radio. That's crap. You're a writer. And then we wrote a series together, and it almost got made. And then, COVID's been really nasty.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I've got a bunch of stuff that's really funny. And one of the dramatic ones, do you know the series Blacklist? You've seen that, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So James Spader, right?
Yeah. And I asked my pal Amir Arison, who plays Agent Moshe Dabai on there.
Yep.
If he would star in it. And he says, I really like this. Yes. He said,
he's a really, really cool guy. Good actor,
he's
too.
The nicest guy in the world. And I go to his place and we hang out, and he's just like, he's really sweet.
Well, the guy that plays Jesus.
Hashim Tufan.
Diego Klatnoff, that guy.
He's Canadian.
Yeah, he's from New Glasgow. He's he's Nova Scotian.
Yeah. And he came to Toronto, and I met him at David Rotenberg's class, and he's a really nice dude. But we haven't seen each other yet. Yeah, wrestler. Yeah. Donald Wrestler. That's right. We haven't seen each other because I still haven't crossed paths with him. And he got his big start on Homeland, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I followed Spader. I like Spader enough, so I watched that show. I haven't seen the last 3 seasons, maybe. But
yeah,
after she died, I kind of
it was kind of interesting, and it was really funny because when she first started, I'm like, man, she's not a great actor.
I know, but they really held on to her for a very long time. But she left because she wanted to leave, right?
Yeah. Well, but she did towards the end. She grew into a good actor because she was surrounded by great people. And Spader is a good actor. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh no, he's fantastic.
Oh, I think he is. I love Boston Legal.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but, I think his performance in The Office is one of the funniest. I still quote constantly when he says, he's like, Jim, I can give you an analogy that has to deal with animals or has to deal with sex. Which would you prefer? And then Jim's like, well, animals, please. And he goes, when 2 animals are having sex. This is one of the funniest non sequiturs I've ever seen.
I told Captain Name Dropper tonight, but my buddy Tommy took me up to Kelsey Grammer's place, and we're staying at his place for the weekend. And Kelsey's cool. And I said to him, I said, my favorite episode was one where John Mahoney, and he goes, oh, which one was it? And I go, John was dating a woman and she stayed overnight. And you were trying to find out, you and Niles were trying to find out if they had sex. And he goes, oh my God, that was so funny. And I said, my favorite line was you walked up for breakfast and you go, banger, dad, and sausage. So he says, oh my God, those writers were so good. And when you hear that kind of writing, you just got like the genius of finding these little nuances and the double entendres that make them work, and especially for network television was really hard, right? So yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Quite a story career, man. It's still going.
So based on what you said earlier, were you up for Gambit in the beginning against Chris Potter?
Yeah, I read for it. I read for a bunch of stuff, but yeah. And then they said, they weren't really sure it was going to last even a year. And they said, we'll get you to swing. And I go, what? Because I was new in the business. They go, you'll do like 2 or 3 characters. When you get an episode, we'll get you like a couple characters. And I was doing like 2-3 characters. It was great because the money was like almost 3 times.
Were you the guy doing all the celebrity impressions?
I did some.
We noticed there's like a Jack Nicholson, and there's
Jack Nicholson was definitely done by my friend Ray Landry, guaranteed.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, and Ray,
he was just like in a pool hall, and he was just like, "Look at this shot,"
that was definitely Ray. In fact, people used to go, "Can I hear you, Jack Nicholson?" I go, "I don't do Jack Nicholson." They go, "I've heard you do it." I go, "No, I do Ray Landry doing Jack Nicholson." Let me tell you something, you folks are out of your minds.
That's it.
Ray and I got to do Connery and Patrick Stewart for the Scottish Film Festival because both were not available. So they said, just get sound-alikes, right? And so he's doing, he's going, oh, he just murdered the cat.
Miles.
Yeah, sorry, Miles, stop
He
that
knocked
stuff.
my harmonicas over.
It'd be like, so we're doing like, this week at the Scottish Film Festival. It's another fantastic movie. Yes, of course, Sean. And I'm going to be in it, And it sounded like they were there. It was real. It was really cool. Yeah. Ray changed my life too with his impressions. He did some really great impressions. One of the first jobs we ever did together was the Amazing Video Machine. Remember that? You could rent videos.
Oh yeah.
So I go in with Ray. Ray's doing. We both got sued, by the way. Ray got sued a couple times. He was doing. And this is a cool story because I did the movie last year, and I can't tell you what it's called because of the strike. Yeah. And it's not out yet. That's why. But Ray had to do Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. iTravel2000.com. Right, and he's doing it. And then he got a cease and desist, and they put a lawsuit against him. And
really? Yeah. How did that pan out? Did he have to pay anything?
Well, no, they let us. They let us off the hook because we're just actors. But we had to do. So you're telling me with the Amazing Video Machine, I can rent Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 2? So apparently awesome. He didn't like that. Then I did another bit for radio. It was like, so you know what they do? They put me on this like treadmill, right? And they attach all these little bags to me, and then they make me run around and collect my sweat. Try new Sylvester cologne. He didn't like that one. I got sued by Arnold.
Really?
We had over Schwarzenegger's gourmet popcorn. Try it. Let's go, André. Let's go, Davan. Yeah, get to the chopper. And when we were doing this Orville Schwarzenegger's gourmet popcorn, but we didn't get sued. What they said was they go, here's a phone number. You have to call this number and leave a message as Arnold, then lose the number. I'm like, okay, so I phone it and I hear, hi, I'm not able to take your message. This is my office phone. Please leave a message. I get back to you. And I'm like, beep. And I'm like, hi, Arnold, it's me. I apologize for stealing your voice to do Orville Schwarzenegger, but they wanted me to call you. I have a good day. And I'll terminate you, and that was before Terminator though, but he loved it. And then Connery was, I have a really cool story about Connery. I used to park at Sony Films when I was there in the 90s, and I'm parking there for like a month in this one spot. We had a studio. We were writing music for a bunch of different shows, and we're working at Sony and we're writing music for MGM. It was really weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I had this great parking spot, and one day I come in, there's a car in my spot, and I'm pissed. So I drive around the corner, there's an open. I pull in, this guy goes, toot toot. He goes, I'm sorry, man, this is my spot. I'm like, I apologize. He goes, well, that's a little car. Can you pull right up to the pole? How long are you staying? I said, the whole day. He goes, pull right up to the pole and you can stay all day. So I pull up and I get out and I go, thanks a lot. He goes, how long are you gonna be here for? I said, well, somebody took my spot. I've been here for like months. And he goes, well, I'm going away to shoot a film. So you know what? He says, you can just use my spot anytime you want. I go, oh, thank you. He said, I'll let Philip, the head security guy, know. I go, thank you, mister. And I look up and I go, oh my God, you're Jerry Bruckheimer.
No, wow.
Yeah. And he goes, what's your name? I said, Tony Daniels. He goes, what do you do? I said, I'm an actor. He goes, are you working? I go, yeah. He goes, not for long. I go, what? He goes, I'm kidding. He says, you have the spot anytime you want. So I get around the corner and this guy's getting into the car in that spot, in my spot. I go, I'm about to unload. And he turns and goes, is this your spot? And I go, Mr. Connery. He goes, Sean. I go, Mr. Connery. I go, yeah.
Mr. Sean.
Yeah. I go, yeah. I said, but he goes, I only need it for a few more days. I go, it's fine. I said, Jerry Bruckheimer's let me park in his spot. He goes, oh, Jerry, how's Jerry doing? I go, I don't know. I just kissed him and left, you know.
That's always fun. That's amazing.
Needed a shave.
You guys both do. Anyway, so
well, when you're bald, you got to do something to do with your face. So that's where I'm at.
That's true. Jack
wants to know, was there any character that Tony played that was his favorite to do or felt the most comfortable with?
I'm shocked. He's shocked you did Bobby LeBeau.
Just you know what? I think all of them. I love what we do. You know, like I don't really call myself a voice actor. I'm an actor first who just happens to be super amazing at voice.
Of course, yeah.
No,
and humble.
Well, quite humble. Yeah. No, I look at it this way. There's not a single accent I can't do. And there's not, you know, I don't think there's too many voice matches I can't do. You know, if I get it long enough, I can. You know, I think the hardest one was Tom Cruise because he doesn't really have a voice. So it's when a character doesn't have a voice, it's hard. So you have to find those little tones in there, right?
It's almost a lot of affectations, just movements and stuff. It's more, that's more when people make fun of him than really the voice.
Yeah, and that's not the real thing. So when you're doing ADR, it's got to be accurate. Like, you don't do the for Schwarzenegger. It's more like, you know, come on, we're going outside. Don't do it. You know.
Yeah.
And with let's see, who was the tough one? There weren't that many. You know what's tougher actually? I'll tell you in a bit. Tougher is depending on the director how in tune they are, because remember, I've got a great ear. Sometimes these people don't have a great ear. So I got told, you're going in to do this movie. I can't tell you what it is because it's against the rules, but you're going in to do this movie and you're going to do this voice, right? And the director, when you get there, does not want to know you, will not talk to you, will not pay attention to you. So just go in. So when I walked in, I see the studio engineer and I said, hi, Bill. And he goes, Tony, it's great to have you. So I don't talk to the director. I walk right in the booth. He goes, all right, do your thing. So I do it. And he looks at it, he goes, that was good. But try it this way. So I do it and I nail it. Do another one. I do it. He goes, you're amazing. Thank you. And I leave. I didn't say anything. I didn't even say thank you. I just signed my thing and went out. I got a call from my producer. He's like, you got to get back to the studio. It's an emergency. Hurry. I'm like, oh, shoot. This guy's going to fire me. Right. So I run back because I was almost at the subway station. So I run back and I get upstairs and he goes, hi. I said, hi. Is everything all right? He goes, oh, more than all right. He goes, I was so impressed with you. Can you do another voice for me in a different part of the movie? I'm like, whoa.
Awesome.
And I said, I'm really glad to be a part of this movie. And he goes, why is that? And I said, well, because there's a friend of mine who's a genetic scientist, and he's got the lady that has the cancer in the movie. He's got her cancer in his leg.
No.
Because he dropped a petri dish with her cancer and it went inside his leg. Now you can't get somebody else's cancer. You can only get the cells there, but they won't because they're programmed to your genetics.
Yeah, your genetics. Yeah.
So the guy freaked out about it. He's like, that's freaking cool. Anyway, and I talked to him for like 30 seconds and I left because I didn't want to get, get him out of here, call the cops,
Yeah.
So
Well, that's awesome.
That's
Wow.
the only time I worry is when you get somebody who really could be, a loose cannon. But as far as doing a voice, it's pretty good.
I'd kind of elaborate on that question a little, though. Did you ever go in for one of these cartoon roles, which not necessarily the most serious stuff, and just find that the role was like surprisingly dramatic or poignant, or be like, oh, that was actually pretty good for a little cartoon role?
Yeah, there's some that you go in and you do, and you like, especially with the stuff we did with the Avengers and X-Men and any of the serious cartoons, you can find those poignant things. But even some of the comedy stuff, like Yin Yang Yo, we did. It was a great series, and I remember the first day we're in there. I like to improv because I'm a good writer, in my own opinion. There goes that humbleness again, and but. So what I'll do is I'll do the writer's line the way they wrote it. And I go, can I have a second take? Yeah. And I'll do mine. They go, oh, can we use that? I go, oh, yeah, of course. Except for one series. I won't tell you what it is. But the guy, I did it. And my lines were way funnier than what was written. And the director freaked out. Don't change the lines. Those are written by me and this other guy. And you don't change the lines. I'm like, okay, you could just say that. You don't have to freak out. And then I had one guy who was at the studio, was really drunk, and he said something, and I said, I'm not your little pissant boy. I'm twice your size, and I'll knock your shit out. You ever talk like that to me or any of the other actors again? And I thought, I'm gonna get fired. And I got back the next day, and he's like, everyone apologized for yesterday. I go, it's fine. But I knew he'd been drinking. So
yeah.
So I didn't want.
Well, that's nice. At least it's nice when you can, especially people in this industry, right? Like, people don't admit they're wrong very often in life. They certainly don't admit they're wrong very often in the film industry.
I had to learn to do that because when I was a kid, I didn't want to hurt people's feelings, so I wouldn't tell the truth as it was. I just, I try to keep it as light as possible, or that didn't really happen, blah blah blah. So, hi world mind.
He's humble too with a name like that.
He is definitely. Tumbling dice. But I just man, I've been so blessed, seriously. And to work with the castmates I've had on every single show, there's not a person that I go, man, I don't want to work with that one again. Although on Sailor Moon, one of the girls, we went to lunch and we come back, and we're in the tiniest booth of all. It's like smaller than this one. And we're standing beside each other. I go, did you have Caesar salad for lunch? She goes, oh my God. And it was like Garlic City. The poor woman. She was so embarrassed. Like, that's fine. I'll live through it. Right. And it's funny because I had garlic and she couldn't smell it. Because my wife hates that. I come home, my wife be like, I go, did you eat garlic? She goes, I had one potato chip.
One too many.
You're 75 feet away. You can smell that. And I go, oh, yeah, it's horrible.
But it was all dressed.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because, when I work down in the U.S. and I tell them we have, we used to have ketchup chips and dill pickle, and we remember the hickory sticks. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. They were in every hockey rink in the country in one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Machines.
Like
just get your handful of hickory sticks and ring of lows.
And they're always like, hey, do you like the Tim Hortons? And I'm like, that's not my kind of
no.
That's not my kind of coffee. Hey, listen, it hooks a lot of people and they love it. No, I'm an espresso guy.
It's because of the drugs they put in there.
It's not they put it in. You know what happens is they roast those beans so long and they never go in and clean the pots. So the chemical changes and it becomes like nicotine. It becomes addictive.
Yeah, I fully believe it.
Starbucks does the same thing. They over roast the beans and that's what ends up happening. And you get hooked. Like I have an espresso machine. Like, not a Breville or anything like that. I've got like an Italian one and a German one. The German one, you open it up. If anything goes wrong, you open it up and you go, holy crap, it looks like a BMW in there. Every wire is perfect, and it's pretty cool. But that's where my vice is, to spend the money on that stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody's got something. It's better than heroin, I suppose.
No, heroin's good because you lose weight. Anyway,
that's true.
Remember, he gained 88 pounds.
That's true. He had to get off it somehow.
Thanks, Davan. I still haven't lost it. I've lost I don't know, 50 of it. Jeez. I need to lose 30.
Getting there.
It's a radical new weight
well,
loss.
It's just like an analyze this. What has less calories than a sandwich? He goes, half a sandwich.
Were you nominated for a Grammy?
Yeah. My friend Cassandra Kubinski, look her up online, you guys, on YouTube.
I did. I was listening to it today.
She's really good, and she wrote a bunch of songs, and I co-wrote, and with her we have a bunch of songs that are really good, like Dreams and You Get Me, the dog. We raised a lot of money for animal rescue and stuff, which I'm really happy.
I was wondering what was with all the dogs in that one. It was very cute.
It's very good. The song's cute, right?
Yeah.
And we wrote
Dad
that.
Sent it to me and said this is like one of his songs that he done, and I listened to it. I was like, this is definitely a fundraiser. Like this is for for sending a thing. But I was like, it's really cute though. It's very cool.
We wrote it for a Canadian commercial actually, and then they didn't pick it. So then I'm like, well, why don't we redo the song and then just make it a song? And she goes, it's a great idea. So we did it, and people loved it. And my friend Jamie Murphy, and that we met through Cassandra, she brought on her ex-boyfriend, who is in one of the videos, you can find it. He's Adrien Grenier. And
really?
from Entourage, yeah. And
Wow.
he was sweet, and a bunch of supermodels from the modeling agency came in. They brought their dogs, and it was really a fun day. We had a great time. And Jamie is an amazing woman, and she brought her little guy Preston Michael, and then
I like when you're just playing the guitar for the little dog that was just looking at you.
That's a true.
So cute.
It's so cute, and I'll tell you why. Because Bill, that brought all the main dogs. There was a bunch of dogs. There was a couple of Pomeranians, and then there was this Jack Russell who was a little asshole. Bill
As
goes,
they usually are.
Yeah, Bill goes, that dog's gonna be an asshole with you. And the dog bit me like 5 times. I'm like, I'm gonna knock your little teeth out.
Dogs always bite me too.
Yeah, but he actually liked me, but he was just like nipping really hard. And then the bulldog comes out, and then he goes, that bulldog won't do anything. So just sit there. And then when I played the solo, I actually played the solo over the sync track. The dog goes, oh, I like that. And it was really sweet. And the bulldog gave me a kiss. I was like, holy crap. And Bill goes, that was strange. Yeah. I had a little, I just love animals, and I was outside earlier, jumping out of the cab to get in here in time. And some lady, as we're walking up to the place, she had her little, I guess it was a golden doodle, and the thing went nuts over me. It just went nuts, because my dog is away right now, and he's 19 years old, like I said, and the dog went crazy, and she's like, my dog doesn't do that with anybody. And I go, well, I'm taking him. And she's like, no.
Mine now.
Yeah, thanks. Have a nice day.
He's chosen.
He's the chosen. He is the chosen one. Hi, I'm James Earl Jones. I did James Earl Jones, by the way.
Wow.
You did James Earl Jones?
It was years and years ago. There was a commercial for Monroe shock absorbers that they did in the U.S., but when they brought it to Canada, they forgot kilometers. So they go, we'll just get you to replace kilometers, miles to kilometers. And I'm like, okay. So they said, well, why don't you read the whole commercial? I was like, when your odometer reaches 25,000 kilometers. And they're like, holy crap, just do the whole thing. Monroe,
awesome.
The shock absorbers for people in outer space.
That's awesome.
You were going to ask something, Davan?
Oh, this is good. Like, you teach auditioning?
I have. And it's funny because I've been helping friends with even some big name actors, help them with their on-camera auditions. And I go,
I need a tip. I've gotten a couple callbacks for voice, and I haven't quite nailed it yet. So I think I need to be better at auditions.
Possibly. I mean, look, choices are choices, and I think also when you have a good sound, when you try not to overdo it, for animation, you probably want to overdo it. So it's just finding that balance will give you the edge. And it's luck of the draw. I remember when I first started, I think I auditioned like 100 times before I got something, and then it just stuck after that, and sometimes the best auditions are the one you go, oh boy, that was crap, and you go, no, You booked it. I'm like, whoa, thank you.
I find that with auditions, especially I'm always like, it's all self tapes now. It used to be having to go in, but now it's like, before when I go in, I'd be like, I turf that, and then I get a call back and like, what the hell?
Are you using wireless mics and stuff for your auditions?
Oh, for me, for tape stuff, I am, but
yeah,
I had a bad setup at the time of
and that'll make a huge difference. Yeah, that's a Yeti or whatever it is.
It was a Yeti.
Yeah, throw that in the garbage.
Okay.
No, I mean it's fine, but listen. If you do a good read and somebody does a great read just like you, but their sound is better, they're gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. If your room has no treatment, they're gonna get it. If they have the treatment, you don't. So you want to treat your room, and like I can close this down and shut it down for ADR. Sometimes I'll leave it open because I like it, but this is really tight, and you're not going to hear a lot of stuff. Plus, I have like an LA 610 on here. Hey, everybody, K100 FM, the top of the power. And then you can bring down your compression. But most of the companies I work with, most of the television film companies, they don't want any compression, anything added on, so you kind of keep it clean. And then I use Universal Audio as my interface, and so I'm going to turn this off. You'll hear noise if I turn this off. Listen to this. So I'll turn off this one plug-in, and you can hear wind. A little bit of wind, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I put this plug-in on it. No one could tell. It's one of those things tonight on K100.
Definitely sounding golden.
I love it.
Yeah, and the other thing was years ago, they started, especially for commercial and stuff, they go, oh, we don't want a voiceover. We just want a real person. It's like, yeah, we don't want voice. They're not real people. It's like, what are you, stupid? We're all real. So, sometimes you'll read something, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a good thing. So you read it and just read it as a guy that you don't even think about. Sometimes I'll add a little Shatner in there. I've done.
That's good.
I booked several times doing like a Cedric Smith type thing.
Well, when you're doing his voice earlier, I was like, if I close my eyes, I just sound like I'm listening to him.
It's like we're watching Road to Avonlea.
Oh yeah, close your eyes, André.
All right.
It was amazing doing the X-Men series. At the time, I was writing a lot of country and folk. And then I murdered a few people.
How's your day?
Look at Cedric on the X-Men shows. He's always doing the screaming.
Oh, yeah.
They make him scream every episode.
Yeah, I like Cedric a lot. Howard Jerome was fun too, and Dan Hemlin like amazing. What's that?
Is it Hemlin like Magneto?
David. Oh, he was a great guy. He's gone too.
Yeah, I was watching. I got the Criterion Channel not too long ago. One of the first movies I watched was The Sweet Hereafter because I'd never seen it. And I wanted to watch forever, and he's in it. And I was like, just seeing him in it, I was like, shit, I forgot how great he was.
And there was two other men that I really loved their company. One of them was Graham Harley. What a voice! He was an Englishman. He was on the X-Men too, but this guy wasn't on the X-Men, but he was on another show with me, and we fell in like. And one day I see an older man, and I see him, and I said, do you guys want to go for coffee? And he's like, oh, Tony, I'd love to. Sir John Neville.
Oh, really? Wow.
I didn't know he was Sir John Neville. I only said, this is John. I go, Tony, we're working. I never heard the last name and stuff. So then we're having coffee, and one of my buddies comes by and goes, wow, you're having coffee with Sir John Neville. I go, I just know him as John.
Yeah.
And I go, oh my God, John Neville, Fifth Element. It hit home. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Oh my God.
Davan, you know him from Star Trek. He was Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's great.
That's right. He's an amazing. He was.
The day the apple fell.
Yeah. My heart broke when he died. He was amazing. And Shirley Douglas too. I love. Oh my God.
Oh, Shirley Douglas.
She was something else. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, it's quite a storied career, man. This is fantastic.
Thank you,
dude.
Man, we didn't even get to half of the stuff. Right?
I feel like before we let him go, we could have him back on. We could do another.
Yeah, we could.
I think we need a two-parter.
Yeah, we could two-parter.
17 parts.
We already
17 parts.
Davan, do you have one voice you want to hear Tony do? I have one in my head that I'm curious to see if you can do.
I want to know what your pick is.
Okay, I want you to do Matt Frewer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, the one from Star Trek when he was on there.
Or
he was on
Panther
there,
or Max Headroom or any of that stuff.
Max
he was
Headroom.
in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. Yeah, if I listened to him, I probably could do it, especially like in a Commander, why don't you follow me in here? You know, like
he
had this just really simple voice on
very
there.
soft spoken, but
yeah. He was I met him once in LA. He was a nice guy and he, good Canadian boy. So
100%.
Well, maybe I'll learn it. Hi, Jody. Yeah.
Thanks for all your work in the X-Men vs. Capcom games. I agree. I love those games.
Yeah, I did. I think what was it? I did 7 games or whatever, 8 games or 9. I can't remember.
Yeah, and you were weren't just Gambit. You were Wolverine as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
with them, a few others. Yeah,
that's right. And I think Toad and a bunch of other ones. Yeah.
So was there an impetus to try to just match Cal, or did we just?
No, they just asked me, "Can you do Wolverine?" I go, "I sure can." And that was it.
Yeah.
It was like on the first one. Apparently, Cal was sick, and they said, "Can you do it?" And I go, "But why don't you just book a phone patch?" And they went, "No. The Japanese want to take it now." I go, "But it's Cal that does it." I'm like, and they're going, "Well, if you don't do it, we'll get Lawrence to do it." I go, "Well, no, I'm gonna do Cal's voice better if that's what you want." And no offense to Lawrence, I love Lawrence, but I said, "No, I'll match it perfectly." But are you sure? And they go, "Oh yeah, no problem." And then they didn't tell me that Cal didn't want me to do it, or anybody else.
Well,
But hey, listen, we're actors, and you're supposed to do. If you're there and the job's there, and they want you to do it, you do it.
Yeah. That's how it works, You don't like it's not up to you to, especially as an actor, to like have to, you're not like suddenly solving a mystery as to why you have this gig, right? Like,
no,
you're happy to get work, so you don't want to like put a bunch of things in front of your way to stop yourself. It sucks, but it's not
exactly. And we're on striker now with SAG and AFTRA, but the thing is, like, I laugh at these award shows and stuff, even though I'm part of the Emmys and all this stuff. But I laugh at them because they're going, these guys that raise the money to make these shows and do all the production and everything, they don't get the awards. And they're the guys that give us the work. We're just actors. We show up, we do what we want. We love what we want. We love what we do. And we're lucky to be a part of something that's really, wonderful. So I thank, the powers that be for being able to do this stuff. And it's really cool. But yeah, Davin's got one, right?
All right, Davan, go for it.
No, I got a music question for you. If you could jam with any musician, who would it be?
Why don't you just ask all the other musicians if they want to jam with me?
I want to jam with you.
Yeah, you should. Let's see. Who would it be?
I might be in Toronto in December, so
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Let's see. I've been lucky enough to jam with my friend Rick Emmett.
Nice.
Who would I love to jam with? Oh my
Triumph, right? Rick Emmett.
Greatest guy.
I'll even throw out past or present.
Would have been John. I would have loved to play with John. It would have been fantastic. I'd still love to do it with Paul and then just mess his mind up because I could do what John did and sing like John. Instant Karma's gonna get you.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, that would be a good one. But I have such a wide taste of music. I can go from rock and roll to funk to country.
Oh, me too.
Right?
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've studied flamenco for 3 years.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Listen to some Jesse Cook.
Yeah, Jesse Cook. I really love this guy who was so nice, Canadian guy, Brian Hughes. He was great, a jazz player. Pat Metheny, Rick turned me on to Pat Metheny, who, God. And my favorite would be Steve Morse from the Dixie Dregs. And the Dixie Dregs would have been great to jam with. Do you know the Dixie Dregs?
I do not.
Take it off the top. Look these up. When you go hear these guys play, you'll quit playing because they're just they walk on water. Yeah.
Everybody makes me want to quit playing.
No, you do it for the love of it, whatever it is.
Exactly.
In your heart. No
it's therapeutic.
Yeah, all of it. Like the voice, the acting, the playing, all this stuff. Just love it. All the people out there listening and watching, you just follow your dream as much as you can. You try and work to support that dream, but you do the dream and try not to,
Mhm.
you know, my friends were like, oh, you know, you went and became an actor and everything. And, well, you went and drank every night, so I didn't want to do that. I worked on my stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Jack. I don't know if that's going to happen. Lenore's been trying. She's been bugging
Oh,
the
has she?
directors. Yeah, she's so amazing. I love
She's
her.
great. Yeah, she
Yeah.
got me the interview with Allison Seeley Smith. She's great. She's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Allison's incredible, and
Oh,
Allison
yeah.
Court too. But
Mhm.
Lenore's just wonderful, and she kind of dropped hints, you know, to the director to see. You know, I think you know, it was good they got Chris back because you know it's the original. But the thing was, if it's 97, I left at the beginning of 97.
Yeah, you were still.
Did you know that was the end? Did you know that was the last season when you came in for season 5?
No, not at all. I didn't know what they were
No.
going to do. I know they were trying to. They said what they told me was they said, you know, we should have had you, or we should have had a little varied thing. I go, you know, you can't backthink this. You just got to go. This is the way it is, and that's where it came from. But I'll tell you one thing. I've been lucky to get to know Eric and Julia Leewald.
They're great. We had them on.
Yeah, we had them.
They're
on
amazing.
before, yeah.
I was on. My friend went to New York Comic-Con last week, and I had lost Chris Claremont's number, right? Because we traveled together one day or 2 days, and he's a sweetheart. And I go, you know, you created.
Feel free to send me that number.
Well, I lost it, and last week my friend went to the New York Comic-Con, or a week before that, and he saw Chris, and he goes, "Hey, Chris, can I put somebody on the phone that wants to meet you?" And he goes, "Well," he says, "Sure." He goes, "Well, I'm cleaning up right now." He goes, "Well, he doesn't want to meet you. He knows you." He goes, "All right, surprise me." So he puts me on. Crystal's like, "I can't believe this," you know. And we were really lovely because I didn't know who he was at first when I got to the airport in New York, and we got on together, and I helped him because he's an older man, and he's like, "You're really kind." I go, "So are you. Thank you." And we get to the airport. At the other location, and there's a guy holding a sign, Claremont and then Daniels. I'm like,
oh wow.
And I see this guy walk up, and I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And the cool thing was I got to, at that time, was it that one or the next one? I met Jyoti Amge, you know, the smallest woman in the world. She's
the one
Indian,
from
American Horror Story.
Yeah, really. Wow.
And we've become really close. She's
she seems like a really sweet person.
She's amazing. And you know, back home in India, she's a deity. And
really?
she sends vibes all the time, and I feel it, you know, like I'll think about her, and all of a sudden the next minute I'll get a text, and I'm like, you can't believe it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Dude,
who would I want your life? It sounds amazing.
Well, yeah, it's also
I'm pretty happy with mine too, but you know, it's nice to live vicariously through other people that are doing some pretty amazing stuff.
Have you got kids?
No,
I got 2.
Oh, see, so my wife and I never had kids. She couldn't, and it's like, it's fine, you know. So I live my life the way it is.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, you're so busy, you do all this stuff all the time. How do you do it? I'm like, I don't have kids. You know, like that's generally it. I mean, it's probably the reason. If I did, I certainly wouldn't be doing as much as I do.
And again, I live vicariously through all my like through my niece and through my buddy Stevie's kids. They call me Uncle Tony, and my friend Gary's kid. If you look up, there's a couple of songs I want you guys to look up. It's I have a new comedy series I wrote. It's called Microdocs, and one of the episodes is called Black Rock Bodge, and it's 2 aging Irish rock stars. And Gary,
I've watched that.
What?
I watched a clip of that.
Did you see that?
Of you doing that? Yeah, you're sitting at the table doing
Gary's like, Gary won for, I think, top Irish actor in New York, and he was on Homeland. He was on a bunch of shows. Boardwalk Empire. He was on Boardwalk.
I love that show.
And there's 2 songs on YouTube, and one's called Another One Like You, that's one of my favorite songs to play. I wrote it and I produced it, and I'm playing all the instruments, and I got Gary to sing it because, you know, it was very Irish thing, and it was for my mom, you know, for all those people here that miss, you know, their home country when they were younger, or their ancestral country. And then the other one is These Times, and that one's a Irish rock song, and that's from Black Rock Bodge. And everyone's like, yeah, definitely. You did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's a great song. And
Good stuff.
everybody's like writing a. They said write a comedy bit, and I'm like, no, I want to make it real, you know. And it was playing in Ireland for a while. I was trying to get it more airplay, but the songs are really, really good. And I wrote another one because their album is supposed to be called Dark as the Night, and we haven't got around to producing yet. We're gonna do it when we get a TV deal. And the reason I want to do it that way is because Dark as the Night, you got to hear this song. It's really cool. And I did all this research. And do you know Tony Ganios, who played Myette in Porky's? You know the big guy. Yeah.
Been a long time.
We've become buddies, and this guy knows everything about medieval stuff and the Knights Templar and all this stuff. And I was big on the Knights. And then we started talking about the song, and he goes, "You got it all right. You must have done your research," because I was talking about the fair King Philip of France and how he was trying to have the knights killed. So it was really cool.
No, that's awesome.
We might not get another show if we keep going.
Oh well, we'll cut her off here. This is part 1. Tony Daniels of 17.
Well, you guys out there,
for the rest of the season.
Send notes to the 97 people and see if they'll bring me on just to do something. I don't know if
you should 100%. It'd be amazing.
Pull all the strings we have.
Yeah,
well, no. Maybe Bobby can come back. That would make more sense, right?
Yeah, I would love it because
how can they do it without Bobby?
The Tad.
Tad's coming.
Bobby was up there. Bobby tried to do something, you know. I was also Thief of Thieves, you know.
It said I saw you listed as Archon in one episode too, which was
I think it was, but I can't remember.
He was the god guy that was trying to marry Storm.
Date Storm.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. Was it that voice? I can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, on some of the video games, man, some of them, oh boy, we're talking really hard on the throat. Like, I did a video game called Black Mirror or Dark Mirror.
Black Mirror, it shows up on your thing,
yeah, Samuel Gordon.
Yeah.
And we were, and it was kind of like a Patrick Stewart type of voice. 3 days, 17,000 lines.
Oh my God.
And the woman had never really directed a lot of video games. So first day she'd go, okay, let's do all the screams. I'm like, no. She's like, what do you mean? I go, we have another 10,000 or 15,000 lines to go. Let's finish those on Friday. And she's like, okay, thank God, because then I couldn't speak for like 2 days after that.
Yeah,
all those screams. You know, and all the X-Men stuff was really good. And plus, I don't know if you know this, I actually did the X-Men in English and in Japanese.
Really?
Yeah, the video games, because they had an interpreter there, and they're going, okay, you have to listen to this man, and he'll teach you what to say, and so he'd read it, and I go boom, and they go, oh, you get that right away. So
sweet.
So it was good. So yeah, and we had a lot of fun. They were so amazing, these Japanese gentlemen. They called me Ichiban number 1. And they go, you big star in Japan. And I'm like, really? Yeah. So it felt really kind of cool. And I probably want to go do a Comic-Con there.
For sure. What would be the notable thing? Would it be Sailor Moon, or what would be like the
Sailor Moon's huge. Yeah, I did like two. There's a kid out of Australia. He's so sweet. He said, I've counted so far 290 voices you did on Sailor Moon.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine 290 voices in one little show? That was pretty cool.
You show up a lot, like even your credits are just being like random voice, like multiple voices, like on Red Dead Redemption 2 or something like that.
Yeah, Red Dead was fun too, and I was in San Antonio. Thank God for the Red Dead cast that was there. Roger Clark and Rob Wythoff and Benjamin Davis. They were really, really nice people. And I said, hi. And that's where I met Giotti. And I said, yeah, I was on Red 2. And they were like, what'd you do? And I said, well, I played the game, and I used Roger's character to kill myself. I played one character, and I can't remember what he was. And then I played the mayor of this town, and I blow my own brains out. It's like just so stupid. But, because I love video games too. Like, I love, like, I got an Xbox during COVID because I couldn't get another PlayStation because they were like few and far between. So I got Xbox X, and I was happy to get it because then I could fly Microsoft Simulator again, which I had for home, right? Which I love. And I did pretty good with it. And then I
Well-
play, Madden, and then
Madden.
and then FIFA.
Hmm.
You must do the
Well, I
Madden
think-
voice.
I think I might have found us our bookend, fellas, because I got a screaming baby upstairs.
Okay.
that I gotta
Okay,
go do.
I've had one of those, but that's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you get him back.
No, it's an alcoholic drink at a bar.
Oh.
Oh,
Hey, try the screaming baby.
I'm gonna try it. I feel like I know what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Thanks
Well,
a
thank
lot
you so
for
much,
joining us,
Tony.
We'd
We'd
love
love to have you back
again.
anytime. This is a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah.
For sure. And thanks for being patient on the cab ride back. I couldn't
Oh,
believe that.
Oh,
stupid
no
watch,
worries. No worries.
but- And
We were
thanks for
trying to
everybody that
guess.
tuned in. We love you guys.
yeah,
we really
absolutely.
do. We love our ex-goons.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. And
Well, happy
like I said,
Halloween,
this
everyone. I'll see
Yeah.
you.
Happy Halloween. Peace.
And catch you X time.
Next time.
Thank you.